Hey everyone, welcome back to our study Changed. I'm Jana.
And I'm Daniel.
We've been looking at different conversations and encounters that Jesus had with people.
In Luke 17, we see Jesus interact with 10 lepers who were labeled as outsiders. He heals all 10 of them, but shockingly enough, only one of them returns to express any gratitude.
There is a distinction between being grateful for something and expressing sincere gratitude to someone. To purposefully express gratitude, we are to trust and obey Him even when the path is unclear.
As believers, gratitude is a natural response to God's love for us.
As a group, take some time to reflect and share on the following questions. Feel free to pause the video for you to discuss.
When you're ready, resume the video for the teaching.
It is amazing to take a step back and contemplate all that God has provided for us. We can begin to divide those areas into different categories. Our life itself, those who gave us life, those who are a part of our lives and relationships, the nature that we are privileged to experience, our jobs, our families, and all of our friendships. You see, we have many things to be thankful for. And I want to show you two of my most cherished possessions. Enclosed in these 8.5 by 11 inexpensive frames are two documents that I will hold tightly to on very difficult days. They are expressions of gratitude. On my 50th birthday, my daughters each wrote 50 things that they appreciated about me being their dad. Now listen, when I've had a tough day, maybe I've received some difficult news, or a discussion that I was in didn't go very well. Perhaps it was an email where I discovered that I disappointed somebody else. On those days, I remember that these are hanging in my study. They are signs to me that I need to hear the constant and consistent voice of God that's grounded in His grace over me, rather than the temporary and very tepid voices that are based on my isolated performance. His voice says this over us today. Psalms 2, 7, and 8 says, "The king proclaims the Lord's decree. The Lord said to me, 'You are my son. Today I've become your father. Only ask, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance, the whole earth as your possession.'" James 1:17 says this, "Whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down to us from God our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow." Now, these are items of gratitude that I hold on to, but today I would like to take us to a story of Jesus' conversation with Zacchaeus as we think about our own expressions of gratitude. Luke 19, 1 through 9 says this, "Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town, and there was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. Now he tried to get a good look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and he climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way." Are you singing the song in your head that you learned in Sunday school as a child? I want to encourage you in your group to try to come up with the lyrics as best that you can. Now, some of you did not grow up singing this, but I will tell you, it's a great way to remember the truth of this story. First of all, what are the obstacles between us and our gratitude to Jesus and to others? Zacchaeus overcame his own height challenges, as well as the obstacles of his reputation. To deal with his height, he climbed into a tree. And he also overcame his own reputation in his own community. Now remember that tax collectors were seen as traitors by their own people. They were collecting taxes for the Romans, and he was a Jew, but they were collecting them from his own community members and friends. And being short in stature within a crowd, and obviously very recognizable to those around him, he likely would have been the object of ridicule and revenge. Now, our obstacles are perhaps much less obvious. We're a busy people, and yet we use our busyness as an excuse that deters our ability to show gratitude. We don't spend time in prayer thanking God for all that He has provided us. We rush to the next thing in our schedule rather than pausing to express our gratitude for something that someone has done for us. Do we take the time to make that phone call, text, or even write a personal note that acknowledges our thankfulness for others? This passage then continues, verse 5. When Jesus came by, He looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, He said, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. Now notice how Jesus breaks right through the obstacles to say Zacchaeus' name. Jesus knew him, and He called him to respond. Can I just take a moment and say how important it is that we work to know people's names? It is evidence to others that they are worth my time and my effort to get to know their names. It's an expression of gratitude. Now on to verse 6. Zacchaeus quickly climbed down, and he took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. He has gone to be a guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. Can't you hear their accusing voices? And here's the question. Are we more concerned about people's opinions than our own expression of gratitude? Are we afraid to express our gratitude to God and others because it might make us look like a people pleaser or somewhat less impressive to others? Do you worry about your postures in worship because of what others might think? You know, I was talking to a friend this week about this, and this is a true statement. I have never regretted anything I have ever said to anyone when I was expressing gratitude. Now, I can't say that about a lot of other things that I might have said or regretted saying. But as I look back, I cherish every single time that I thanked my mom and dad, a former teacher or mentor, to Jennifer or my daughters or sons-in-law, our staff or a friend. Now listen, I've never, ever regretted the things I've said in gratitude. I want you to think about that. Can you say that about other things in your life? As I've said, I can't. So we must focus on that opportunity when we have it, because we may not always have those opportunities. We need to express that gratitude. Verse 8, meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and he said, I will give half of my wealth to the poor. Lord, and if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much. Here's what we see. The depth of our gratitude is reflected in the measure of my personal sacrifice. As we look at Zacchaeus' action, what we see is that this is evidence of the transformation through his encounter with Jesus. He is radically reorienting his behavior as it relates specifically to his finances and restitution to those he has wronged. This too is a phenomenal example of gratitude. In our relationships, who has been wronged and how are we going to seek to repair and restore the damage that we have done? This is not only an action of gratitude to them, but it's also to God, because it acknowledges the great sacrifice of Jesus to cover our sin and our great responsibility to repair the relationships of those that we have wronged and to grant forgiveness to those who have wronged us. Now, in this last verse, it says this, Jesus responded, salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who were lost. Our gratitude is a living example of the message that Jesus wants to give to the world. And they are watching us. Because we have a relationship with Christ, gratitude will be a distinguishing characteristic to the world around us and will continue to draw others into their own individual encounter with Jesus. Now, as you continue to contemplate Zacchaeus, I hope that you have a great discussion in your groups on gratitude and how it can reorient our lives and draw others to Jesus.